Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports, Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over the NBA games for Tuesday, October 26, 2021. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking these games, you have to join my Patreon. My picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at the Sixers and the Knicks, Warriors and the Thunder, Rockets and Mavericks, LakersSpurs, Nuggets, and the Jazz. If you don't want to hear all these games, you can just skip ahead to whichever games you like. I'm going to be doing them in this order. So if you like the Rockets, just know that. Skip through these. It'll be the third game within the video. I haven't marked any chapters on the video, but I'm going to be doing them in order. So if you're just looking for the last game of the day, probably just fast forward to towards the end of the video, if that makes sense. But on this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers. The way that it's structured here is I have the away team up top, their coach's record, their season record, any type of notes or winning streaks or anything I want to add to it is going to be in this area. In the middle is the head-to-head record between the two teams, all-time and regular season. And once the season gets going, I'll be adding their head-to-head for the specific season. And then at the bottom is the home team, their season record, their coach's record, any notes to add to it. Basketball's in a tough spot right now just because all the records, the season records, are single digits. We need to get a couple more games under these guys to get out of the single-digit records. But we'll work through it. Let's see what we got here. We're going to start with the home team Knicks, and then we're going to look at the Sixers. So what are some numbers for the Knicks to win this game? One thing that could play in their favor is it will be the 20th day of the second month on the Hebrew civil calendar, like 202. And the Knicks could pick up their 202nd regular season head-to-head win against the Sixers. What's weird about this game and the Knicks playing the 76ers, emphasis on the 76, is the Knicks coach. He's going to be coaching his 76th game regular season as a coach for Knicks, as well as the 76ers coach. He's going to be coaching his 76th game as a coach specifically for 76ers. If the Sixers do lose, he would get his 706th regular season loss as a coach for his overall career, which kind of looks like a 76, I guess, if you take out the 0. What else would be in favor for Knicks? Something for the Sixers. The thing about the Knicks and the Sixers, their record's the same for the season. So win or lose, you can make a case for the 31 and the 22 and the 31 and the 22. And at the same time, both of these teams, their next game is going to be on a day with 79 date numerology, as well as it being the 22nd day of the second month on the Hebrew. So it would be on Wednesday right here. Their next game, 79 date numerology. It'll be the 22nd day of the second month on the Hebrew civil. I say that because Sixers with the loss can head into that game 2-2 for a season record, 79 the 22nd prime. But so can the Knicks. The Knicks are playing that day. They can lose and become 2-2. So it's really hard to say, okay, which one's going to head into the 22nd day of the second month, 2-2 for a season record. A day with 79 date numerology on the Gregorian, 79 the 22nd prime. Either one of these teams can. And I guess the only really edge we have is that 76ers, I guess, weird thing. 76ers game for the Knicks coach, for the Sixers coach. He can become 706. And then Knicks can get their 202nd regular season head-to-head win on the 202. But what would kill this for the Knicks and what would give the Sixers the upper hand here is, yeah, their next game has 79 and 222 date numerology, and they become 2-2, either one of these two. But the next game also has 43 date numerology. 43 is the 14th prime number, and today in this game has 14 date numerology. And I say that because Knicks coach, he can sit on 43 wins regular season as a coach for Knicks in his 76th game playing against the 76ers. And he would head into their next game 2-2 for the season, sitting on that 43, a day with 43 and 79 date numerology. And also, this game is the fourth game for them for the season, as well as their third home game, which kind of looks like a 43. So that would be the disadvantage for Knicks. I think you can make a case either way for the 22s, but if we look at the future date, it could go against the Knicks a little bit more with that 43, potentially. Not guaranteed, but potentially. And then I think that's it for this one. Sixers becoming 3-0 on the road, like 30. I didn't see a whole lot for that. Oh, nothing jumped out at me. The 282 didn't jump out at me. The 260 didn't jump out at me. But I suppose you can just look at it as like a 26, it being the 26th day of October. I know a lot of people like the 201 number. Maybe that has something going for it. They sit on that 201, and I don't know, reflection of 12 maybe. I just didn't see a whole lot in this game. It's a tough one. It's not an easy one. The only really edge you have is that 202 for the Knicks, and the 70 and the weird 76 thing going on. But at the same time, when you look at the future dates of their next coming game, between the two teams, the 43 would hurt the Knicks. They could become 2-2 heading into that game as their coach sits on that 43. So that's kind of what you're choosing it. Definitely add more to it, but we're going to move on to the next game. Hopefully this gets you started. Hopefully this helps, gives you some insight of what's going on. And I can't wait till the season gets a little bit more deep into it so we have bigger season records. They're not single digits. Let's look at the Warriors and Thunder. Warriors and Thunder, kind of the same thing. Thunder is going to be playing tomorrow. So they're playing today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to have 42 and 78 date numerology. Today has 41 and 77. They play tomorrow, 42 and 78. The reason why I say that is tomorrow, they can go into their game tomorrow at home, 0-4 for this season, and 0-2 at home for the season with a loss against the Warriors in this game, which kind of has a 4-2, a 42 look to it. It'll be a day with 42 date numerology. It'll also be a day with 78 date numerology, and the Thunder coach can sit on that 22 regular season wins for his career as a loss. And 22 sums to both 42 and 78. So it could be like a little bit of a double thing going on there. And then going back to today's date numerology, Warriors, it's kind of the same thing for them, I suppose. They could become 4-0 for a season record and 3-0 on the road. 3-4, 4-3. The number 43 is the 14th prime, 14 date numerology on the Gregorian, and at the same time, the number 14 sums to 40, and they could become 4-0 for a season record. But what would help the Thunder in this game to potentially win is today does have 41 date numerology on the Gregorian. And even though the Thunder are playing back-to-back games, maybe in one of these games they push a good effort and they steal a win. And 41 is the 13th prime number. Thunder could become 1-3 in their first back-to-back game leg. And then these two play again, I think, on Friday. But I think they play in California. So these two kind of play back-to-back, but there's a game in the middle between the two. So, it was on the 30th. And I didn't see anything for the head-to-head records. I think it was the 30th. Let me see here. 29. Or maybe it was the 29th. No, it's the 30th. Yeah, they play on the 30th, Saturday. They play again. But for Thunder, they could steal the first one and become 1-3. And then regarding the 42, this is their fourth game. This is their second home game, like 4-2. How they can become 0-4, 0-2 heading into tomorrow with 42 date numerology. If you actually spell out 42, sums to 142. And maybe they just go ahead and pick up their 142nd regular season head-to-head win against the Warriors. And then the Warriors would fall to 3-1 for a season record, like 31 the 11th prime number. Thunder would become 1-1 at home, like an 11. Thunder's coach would be playing his 76th regular season game as well. So maybe the 76s up here aren't as peculiar as I may want them to be. But that's about it for this game. Not a lot. I don't have a whole lot for this as well. It's just tough with the single-digit records. I keep saying that over and over, I know, but it just... I usually base... What I do is I take the season records, and then I use the head-to-heads and the coach records as, like, supporting the season records. But when there's no season records, I'm using the head-to-head and the coach records as the main, and it doesn't always work out that way. So it makes it a little bit trickier. But the Rockets and the Mavericks, Rockets-Mavericks, they're going to be playing their 202nd all-time head-to-head matchup between the two teams. This will be a day that is the 20th day of the second month on the Hebrew civil calendar. It could be the same day that the Knicks potentially pick up their 202nd head-to-head win against the Sixers. The number is in use. There's potential there. The Mavericks can become 1-0 in their first home game of the season, like 10, as they sit on 100 regular season head-to-head losses against Rockets with the win. And the number 100, mathematically, has a square root of 10. Mavericks would get their 94th all-time head-to-head win against the Rockets to go with 94. Sums to 57. It will be a day with 57 date numerology on the calendar. It's also a day with 77 date numerology on the calendar, and we know Luka, Mr. 77 himself, I could give him good mojo, good vibes. It's a day with 41 date numerology, 41 the 13th prime. Rockets could become 1-3, like 13 for a season record with a loss. Rockets' next game is going to be on a day with 59 and 79 date numerology, as well as 43 date numerology. What's interesting about this is if Rockets lose this game, their coach gets his 58th regular season loss, which could potentially set him up to get his 59th on a day with 59 date numerology. But at the same time, if the Rockets win, they become 2-2 for a season record, and they would head into the next game, a day with 79 date numerology, the 22nd prime number, 2-2. So it could kind of go either way there, if you wanted it to, I guess, if you wanted to look at it that way. It's also the 26th day of October, and Rockets could get their 101st regular season head-to-head win against the Mavericks, the 26th prime number. And then with 57 date numerology on the Gregorian, Rockets coach, he can sit on 57 losses regular season for his career instead of getting that 58. But if he does get that 58, I imagine he'll probably get his 59th in the next game. So it can kind of go either way, I guess, just depending on how they want it to play out. If Rockets do win, it would be because of the number 66, maybe. They would become 2-2 for a season record, 1-1 on the road, 2-2-1-1. 2-2-1-1 is the 66th triangular number. It'll be a day with 66 left in the Gregorian. Oh, I didn't think these two were like that. 2-2, no, yeah. So yeah, if Rockets do it, it would be the 2-2-1-1, I would imagine. 2-2-1-1, the 66 triangular on a day with 66 left. Then they head into their next game on 79 date numerology with the 22nd prime, 2-2 for a record. But Mavericks could pull it out, get that 94th. 94 sums to 57, a day with 57 date numerology. It is a day with 77 date numerology. That could be Luka power right there. And then the Rockets coach would be set up to get his 59th loss on a day with 59 date numerology in the next game. It would also set him up because it would have 59 and 43 date numerology, and if Rockets lose and become 1-3, it would set him up to potentially become 1-4, 43 the 14th prime, as he gets his 59th loss. So that 43-59 would go against them two ways. Lakers and the Spurs. This one's tricky. 41 date numerology on the Gregorian, the 13th prime. Either one of these two can become 1 and 3 for a record with a loss, like 13. But between the two, Spurs, they can get their 91st regular season head-to-head win against the Lakers, the 13th triangular number, as Lakers become 1 and 3, like 13 with the loss. If Lakers do lose and become 1 and 3, they would also become 0 and 1 on the road. And 1301 kind of has a 131 look to it. Today with 57 date numerology, 57 sums to 131. Plays tomorrow on the road. Lakers tomorrow. They play on the road against the Thunder. Tomorrow we'll have 42 and 78 date numerology. And the number 22 sums to 78 and 42. And if Lakers do win this game, they would be 2 and 2 heading into tomorrow. I don't think the Spurs play tomorrow, do they? Yeah, so I guess on a back-to-back, instead of becoming 1 and 3 and then Spurs getting that 91st, Lakers could win and become 2 and 2 for the season, like 22. 22 sums to 42 and 78. Their next game, the next day, it has 42 and 78 date numerology. Also, if that were to happen, Lakers would become 2-2 for a season record and 1-0 on the road as they get their 122nd all-time head-to-head win against the Spurs. 2-2-1, 1-2-2. They're just reflections of each other, really. So that could potentially help the Lakers. And then I think that's it. Nothing really jumped out at me with the 88 as of right now. With the 131, 57 date numerology, 57 sums to 131. Lakers could become 13-01, like 131, or the Spurs coach can sit on a 1,311 wins with the loss, which has that 131 in there. Spurs, I think they play their next game on Thursday. Yeah, against the Mavericks. On Thursday, we'll have 79 date numerology, the 22nd prime. We've talked about that with a couple other games, and that could be a reason why they get their 22 or become 2 and 2 for a season record. And Lakers, they do got to watch out because it is their 4th game for the season, but their first road game. You know, it being a day with 41 date numerology, 41 is the 13th prime. It could be that 1-3 for them. And then the Spurs get that 91st regular season head-to-head, the 13th triangular. But they do have this one weird 122, 22-10 thing going on for them. And the next day date numerology as well. So we'll just have to see. Nuggets and the Jazz, the last game of the night. Hopefully I'm not taking too much time on this for you guys. This will be the 202nd regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams on the 20th day of the 2nd month for the Hebrew civil calendar. We already saw this number here for the Mavericks and Rockets. They're going to be playing their 202nd all-time head-to-head matchup. And first time's an accident, second time's a coincidence, the third time's a pattern. If this thing is a pattern, Knicks would get their 202nd regular season head-to-head win against the Sixers to go along with it all. But we'll see how it all plays out. It doesn't always work out how you want it to. But with that being said, they could get their 118th regular season head-to-head win against the Nuggets in their 202nd regular season game. It will be a day with 41 date numerology. 41 sums to 118. If that were to happen, Nuggets would become 2 and 2 for a season record with the loss, and 1 and 1 on the road. 2-2-1-1. We already talked about that. 2-2-1-1. 66 triangular number. A day leaving 66 left on the Gregorian. If Jazz do win this, they would become 3-0 like 30 and 2-0 at home like 20, 3-2, 3-2 like 32. It is a day with 57 date numerology. 57 sums to 131, the 32nd prime number. It will be the Jazz's coach 557th regular season game, which has that 57 look to it. But with that all said, it will be the 232nd all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Jazz coach, he could get his 232nd regular season loss for his career. And with it being the 202nd day of the or 202nd regular season head-to-head, 20th day of the second month on the Hebrew. It's also the 20th day of the 8th month on the Hebrew, and Nuggets coach could sit on 208 regular season losses as a coach specifically for the Nuggets, while he picks up his 269th regular season win as a coach for the Nuggets. 269 is the 57th prime number, 57 date numerology on the Gregorian. Alright, so I think that's it. Hopefully, I didn't take too much time, but at the same time, hopefully I didn't breeze too fast through it. I talked pretty fast, I know. So if you're new at this, if you're a beginner, a lot of this stuff probably just went over your head. But if not, hopefully you got some information out of it. Hopefully this helps for the games. I wish you guys the best of luck on your picks. I hope you win every single pick that you make. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support.